Hello and welcome to another update video about Cardano. In this video, we're going to take a look at the updated technical analysis for Cardano, and also we take a look at the Bitcoin chart only briefly. And before we start, thanks a lot for all your support. If you like content, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also consider joining as a channel member. There you get access to live chats and live streams as well, and a few more extras. And there's also a second channel, my second channel in the video description that will take you to my second channel where I talk about technical analysis in general, and there's a lesson typically every day. And yeah, thanks for that, and let's go right into it. So we start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currently trading in this descending triangle, currently consolidating in a larger move to the upside. We are, in my view, overall in an uptrend. We're forming something like here, like a cup and handle. We've been talking about that earlier on the channel, and one of my great channel members has actually made me aware of it again, that we are trading actually on a larger scale in this cup and handle. Yeah, it's a bit oddly shaped and it's not quite round, but still it is what we've seen with other cryptos as well, and where we came up all the way in this cup shape and then formed that handle. And I believe that handle is about to break out very soon. We are still in that consolidation, or you could say in a short-term downtrend within the longer-term uptrend, and that is still my view. But the indicators are still quite negative, still quite bearish, which is why we are currently expecting another move to the downside. And I've been saying that frequently, and I think in another move to the downside we could get down to that level here, which would be the lower support level of that descending wedge. And it would also take a move to that horizontal support level of 37,500. Now, if we get there, it's pure speculation when we get there, but I believe we will get there unless we really push in another move above the 48,500. I think then the whole picture turns and we will get into a longer term uptrend again. But at the moment, everything still shows negative, to the downside. The RSI is still in the bearish range, the MACD as well, and the ADX line down here as well, even in a weak downtrend. And let's just take another look at the hourly, because earlier today we took a look at this climbing, where we were climbing alongside this ascending trend line, and it broke to the downside. So that is now a longer term. Well, it didn't break to it didn't, even if it hit that support line and went through that apex for some reason. So it didn't really have a major breakout. It just trades alongside and it falls a bit to the downside. So it's rolling over a little bit here. And, we are now getting to this key support level, which is the neckline of that formation here. It is a descending triangle that we are forming now. So we are currently here at this support level of 42,800. We're getting there very closely. And guys, if we break below that, that can take us down to here, nearly 42,000, maybe even below, probably down to that level again here, where we were finding support before, and that level that we broke before to the downside here, which is 42,000. Okay, let's get to Cardano. Cardano here, we talked about it earlier. This is the 4-hour chart, and we talked about this formation here. I put it in red here. This was the triangle formation that we had on the chart earlier today, and the update video was just before we were breaking out. We were moving into the apex. I left it on this chart just to show you where we were, and I did say in that video, just because everything was pointing to the downside, bearish indicators. And again, I still don't believe that we had this that we've seen this the low yet of 185, maybe even a little bit lower. And I also said we were forming something like a head and shoulders here with a with an ascending trend line. But actually, I think what has happened was, we broke out of that triangle formation, but actually what is forming now and right at this moment is now this head and shoulder, but not with a descending with an ascending trend line. No, it has actually become a correct or a valid head and shoulders with a left shoulder here, proper head, and another shoulder. So we just at this neckline. Now, if that is taking us, that could take us once more in our target area. And, if we take the target of the head and shoulders and just add it to the lower side and to that neckline, that could take us pretty much exactly to our target area again, which is at around 185. ideally a bit lower. I want to see a little bit of a lower level here than that one, which would be the case, and hopefully from there we then move to the upside. So everybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about the C correction within which we are currently trading, which is based on Elliott Wave theory and Dow theory. So I believe we are currently in this A. You've got the A here. So we actually moved all the way up to $3.10. That was the correction of our fifth wave. You know, oftentimes markets move in 5 waves, 3 waves within the trend and 2 waves against the trend, and then you complete that formation and it starts with a correction wave A, B, and C. Typically there are other formations as well, but these are the most common ones. And I believe we are in this A, B, C correction. We already hit the target area, and now we are moving to the upside in another wave to the upside. But I still think we haven't completed that C correction yet, which means we come down once more and could exactly hit that 185 level, which is at the lower end of that box, maybe even a little bit lower. But I still think from there we will then emerge and get to our complete our wave 3. So we are still in that larger picture wave 3. So we started to form our wave 1 here. That was earlier in the year in May. Then we dropped down to in this wave 2 correction also in May, and since then we formed the very long wave 3. Wave 3 hasn't been completed yet. There have been, and don't get me wrong, there have been more waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5s within this larger wave 3, but the wave 3 itself, the main wave 3, hasn't been completed yet. That is up somewhere up here. Gave you a target of at least 450. It might be higher because these waves 3 oftentimes exceed the target level. They're oftentimes the longest waves, and after that we'll have a wave 4 and a wave 5, and that again is part of a larger wave. But anyway, this is what I'm talking about, coming down once more into another wave C correction. Well, it is still the same wave C correction, but I still think we haven't completed it yet. We would need to get above at least 265, ideally above 280, to invalidate that ABC pattern, and then, well, not to invalidate, but to basically show that we are continuing our way to the upside into wave 3. So just to take a summary look here, this is Cardano 1 hour on the left hand side, 4 hour chart in the middle, on the right hand side the daily, and what we can see everywhere is still pointing to the downside, which makes me quite confident that we will drop once more. And I've been saying for a few days now that we're going to drop once more, and we are now at 217, so that played out, but I still think we are going to go lower. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bearish on Cardano. It's my biggest holding. I'm extremely bullish on Cardano, and this is a bullish scenario. But what you can see here is a bit painful at the moment in September. We haven't seen the bottom yet, which is why we are sort of still consolidating, which seems so painful for many people. But it is just a phase we have to go through in this overall move to the upside. And from there then, from this C correction that we're going to finish, we will really emerge and form, get to prices that we all would love to see today, but obviously we're not there yet. But this is a bullish scenario. We need to get to the bottom, from the bottom, build more buying pressure again, get people interested, and from then on we really push to the upside. So on the hourly you can see how we are forming this head and shoulders. On the 4 hour, very well visible as well. And however, we can see on the ADX and DI, people oftentimes ask me, what is that indicator? Well, it's the ADX with the directional lines here, the green and the red one. If the red one is above, it's normally a short signal, it's a sell signal, and the white line just indicates if we are in a trend or not. And if it's a bit below 20, that level, it just indicates that we're in a sideways move. Obviously it moves up and down quite quickly on the hourly, and here on the daily we can see that we are in a very, very slight trend, a very slight downtrend now. And you use that mainly to determine what kind of trading strategy you use. If we are below 20, you normally use a range market strategy, but if we're above 20, you can start to think about using a trend following strategy, for example. But at the moment we are in a very slight downtrend, but in all time frames the red line is above the green line, so pointing us towards further moves to the downside. Also down here, the MACD on all 3 time frames is showing bearish. We've had a bearish crossover now on the hourly as well. We've had one on the 4 hour chart, and on the daily it seems to be recovering a little bit, but we are still below the 0 line and also in the red range. And also down here I've got on the daily, I've got the RSI, where you can see that we are still below 50, which is bearish as well. And we've got the stochastic RSI here as well, which indicates that we could come to the upside now once more, because that typically happens. We get into the oversold range, then move to the upside. But you know, on the daily here, I think it looks like that we've exhausted the uptrend already. There was a little bit of an uptrend here. You can see that from the 21st of September. Now we're rolling over again, and you can see that on the stochastic RSI as well. We might be rolling over, have a bearish crossover here now, and then push to the downside once more. And that could be the preparation for the last final move to the downside that we need to see, to continue to move upside. I'd rather have another strong push to the downside, and from then on something like a V-shaped correction to the upside, something strong to the upside, which has momentum and pushes us further up. And I know that people get frustrated at the moment, but it's a nice, in these range markets, or at least these consolidation moves, it's sometimes nice to be trading as well, because you can so well define these channels here, you know. So it can be very well defined. And now we can see that it is a textbook not cup and handle, but a textbook head and shoulders. So if we lose that support line here, which, you know, this is a trend reversal indicator, so or pattern. So we've come from that move to the upside, but we made a high, we made a higher high, but we failed to make another high. So, or we made a lower high, which indicates we are losing momentum again. So indicates, guys, what we push probably to the downside, and that is what I now expect, a push to the downside, potentially with a price target of around 180 to 185. That is what I expect happens next. If not, I will be pleasantly surprised, but I think it will happen. My current view, it happened up here as well. We had a head and shoulders, and from then we broke to the downside, recovery then with a W pattern, but now another head and shoulders, so we could break down to the downside again. And what you have as well is not only a head and shoulders, you have now a descending triangle here as well, which is within this head and shoulders, the same that we had up here, descending triangle, which is just that move to the downside. We might push to the upside now once more slightly, but then maybe go down. It is just that breakout pattern that is emerging here at the moment. All right, so no reason to frustrate. I'm actually happy if we push down once more, because we need that, in my view, to push further up. Okay, so I'm extremely bullish still, and I expect in the next few months to reach the 450 still. Won't change my scenario here until anything fundamentally changes here on the charts, but everything's still at play at the moment in my view. All right, so hopefully you liked that update. If you did, please smash the like button, and if you want to follow me on this crypto journey, please subscribe. Bye bye.